Yeah, my wife, she's in trouble. That's right. Because I walked up to Sister Lyons this morning and I said, you know, this tribute is for you, and you know, when I'm on the program and when I'm, you know, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I didn't get any guidance, so now I know why. But first I want to recognize my mom. You know, they say, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and he won't depart from it when he gets older. And my mother always, you know, preached the fact that I needed to be at church on Sunday. And she always wanted me there. Even she worked every other weekend. When I didn't make it, you know, she had her spies, and she would always call me so I was there. So later on, you know, when I was added to the church, you know, those teachings that she had instilled in me just carried on over. Yeah. So, you know, it was easy for me to be here on Sunday morning and Sunday night and Wednesday night, you know, because I had been trained that way. Right. You know, and then it's funny because when our journey in the Church of Christ is a little bit different. But I would have to say that I learned the most about being a member of the Church of Christ when I came to Midtown. And because we came here from Wilmington, Delaware, and we were at Northeast Church of Christ. And they let me teach Sunday school a little bit, but they wouldn't let me lead songs. They wouldn't let me do communion. Well, that all changed when I came to Midtown. You know, Lyons look at you can speak English, you're educated man, you ought to be doing this stuff. Yeah. And so he says, we're going to, you know, put you up and have you start teaching Sunday school. Well, you know, how can I say this? Those of you as members of the Church of Christ know we speak where the Bible speaks, and we're silent when the Bible's silent. Yeah. And with Brother Lyons, you better have your Exodus and Leviticus and all that stuff in line, or otherwise he was going to set you down. But he made a promise to me when I started. He says, you know, if you mess up on Sunday school, he says, I'm not going to, you know, correct you in public. You know, that's what the sisters do. That's what they do. He said, they'll be on you. He said, but I'm going to pull you aside later. And then what I'll do is the next Sunday you stand up and you just kind of get it right, you know? And, but he was right, you know, but the sisters at Midtown, I have to say that Sister Lyons, Sister Burris, and Sister Strong, and others, you know, they let me kind of, you know, stumble through some stuff. And then Brother Lyons always pulled me aside and we'd sit down and we'd go over the text. And with Brother Lyons, if you didn't know Brother Lyons, I remember one time I visited his house and there was this room above the kitchen and it was full of commentaries and books and stuff. And he was the first minister I'd ever met who studied. I mean, you know, prior to that time I'd met some guys and they were okay, but Brother Lyons was an intellectual guy. He was, you know, kind of academic kind of guy, which I liked. Yeah. And when he would preach his lessons, you could always tell that he studied. And that meant a lot to me. So I figured if I was going to teach Sunday school, my Sunday schools had to be the same way. And so the other thing about Brother Lyons, too, is he was always about being on time. Oh, yeah. Brother Reed. Brother Lyons had this saying. He'd always say, brothers, the clock on the wall says it's time to start, you know? That meant that we were behind, you know? And I always remember that about him. The other thing, too, is that a lot of you guys may not know, I was here from 91 to 2000. And me and Brother Lyons, periodically in my job, I'd get off and we'd go out and have a lunch, Chinese food lunch, and we'd sit there and we'd debate the scriptures. Now, who am I to debate the scriptures with Brother Lyons? Yeah. But the thing I liked about Brother Lyons is he actually allowed me to debate the scriptures with him. Because I sit there and I said, well, Brother Lyons, I think this. And he goes, well, that's an interesting thought. You looked over his numbers. Well, no, I hadn't looked over numbers. Well, let's turn over to there and look. And I'm sitting thinking, I missed that one big time. That's all I used to do was kind of prepare for these debates. You know? And I thought I was going to out-debate Brother Lyons with the scriptures, so that wasn't going to happen. But Brother Lyons was always good about that. And then, like you, he kind of called me on the carpet on some things. I remember Brother Abel talked about how he brought the white congregation together, and that was true. That was really true. And I remember, you know, I grew up in Muncie, so I knew about racism in Muncie. And I remember when they used to have a Fifth Sunday, and I told Brother Lyons, I said, you know, you can go worship with them on Fifth Sunday. I'm not going. And Brother Lyons said, we need to have a little talk about that. And he said, it's neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, and he kind of split in white nor black, you know what I mean? You know, yeah, and he said, you know, brothers, we got to be the example. You know, we got to be the example for these brothers. And so, you know, I said, all right, I'm going to try. And Brother Lyons was always very, very, you know, he was on the word. You know, he was someone who, that's where I kind of got a firm foundation in the church. Because, you know, he just wouldn't let you slip. He wasn't into sloppiness. You know, he wasn't going to let you just slide through with a couple of sloppy interpretations of the text. And I kind of like that. You know, it kind of helps. I have to say one other thing, too, because about my commitment to Midtown. When we left Midtown in 2000, we were going to be committed to Midtown. You know, I knew when we left, it might be a little bit of financial hardship, and so we decided we were going to continue to get back to Midtown when we were in Wilmington, and I asked Sister Lyons to tell them about it. When we went to left Wilmington, Delaware, and moved up to Fort Wayne, you know, I was committed then. And then when I was at East Chestnut, I thought East Chestnut should be committed to Midtown. Because it always bothered me of how churches in this country, we can send our money to Jamaica and Africa and everything else, but we can't send our money to congregations like Midtown and others that are right in the state of Indiana, or you know what I'm saying? So I was always committed that, you know, it's okay to support the brothers in the work overseas, but when you have congregations in Muncie, 14th Street, and Anderson, and so forth, you need to support those congregations. So little did I know that when I was, and Brother Veltz knows this, he was at East Chestnut. Remember those brothers meetings? They got a little rough. And I was pushing for us, East Chestnut, supporting Midtown. And Brother Veltz was a young minister there, and Brother Veltz spoke up. He said, brothers, we need to be doing this. You know, so I had an advocate in my corner.
Right.
And he said, you know, because congregations, you know, he was on my side. And I didn't even know Brother Veltz that well. And so, you know, oftentimes God works in ways that we don't understand. I don't know why God sent me to Fort Wayne. I don't know why he sent Brother Veltz there, but obviously he sent us there for a reason.
Yes, sir.
Brother Veltz was a part of the reason why East Chestnut sends money down here. Because, you know, he backed me up. And the Lord made sure that happened. And I think that also taught East Chestnut something, because East Chestnut is a good congregation. Yes, sir. But they kind of was pretty much, what's the word?
Inward focus.
Inward focus. I like that. And a lot of churches in Christ are inward focused.
Yeah.
And so that helped them to be more outward focused.
Yeah.
And so I thank Brother Veltz for that. And then I got one other thing to say, and then I'll sit down. I want to just mention Sister Lyons. Because Sister Lyons, you know, it was male and female, and they became one. and I got to learn how to lead songs in East Chestnut. Not East Chestnut, I mean Midtown. Midtown. And I remember, you know, when I was here, there wasn't a lot of brothers up there, and, you know, you had to like multicast everything, yeah. And so they needed a song leader. I'm sitting there thinking, I can't sing. And so Sister Lyons says, you know, if you get it started, the sisters will carry you along. Amen. And I said, well, you know, what if I can't carry two? She said, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that too. Yeah. So I got up here first time and started in, and the sisters carried me along. Yeah. So it built my confidence, because I knew I had somebody that had my back. So if I got up here and I struggled, all I had to do was say, yield, and then they said, Midtown was just, this was a good congregation for me to mature in. One more thing, and then I'll be quiet. So this is just some great memories. Sister Lyons, also, a lot of you may not know, but when I was at Ball Hospital, I was vice president at Ball Hospital before I moved on to Illinois, but my secretary, Jennifer Kurtz, would always say, you know, Mrs. Lyons, she called her Mrs. Lyons called, And so Ms. Lyons always made it on my schedule.
Yeah.
If you was a doctor, you may not have made it on my schedule. I looked at my real one here. Ms. Lyons always made it on my schedule. We always found time, and then I always sort of set aside an hour. Sister Lyons, we sit in there, we shut the door, and we talk about the church, and we talk about various things and stuff. And Sister Lyons was always, Brother Lyons, was key to the congregation, but you need two.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they were a team. They were a team. And you can't do without that type of teamwork. So I'll be quiet, but I really, this was a total surprise, because I had a lot of good things to say about Sister Lyons.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, thank you.
Yeah.